For about 20 years now, I've been preparing for and planning in late-stage capitalism. And a dairy cow, plus her milk, which will be raw, is part of my plan. Wait a second, Kat, you may be asking. Are you MAGA? No, I'm not, although I do want my neighbors to be healthy. But this is an incredible resource when our society begins to collapse. Let's talk about it. We're also going to check out some big old piggies. Welcome to Misfit Grit. All right, everyone, let's go down and check out these pigs. Now, don't mind my voice. I am getting over a bugger of a cold. But let's get back to it. So I'm not the kind of white lady that's going to tell you what type of milk to drink. Raw, pasteurized, plant-based, none at all. That's your own business. It's up to you and your decisions. Personally, I have decided that raw milk is the best fit for me. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. But we're going to show you the pigs here because they go to butcher in about 2 to 3 days, and they're looking real good. And this is tied in with our pork, and it's also tied into how our family of 7 is able to provide a substantial amount of food for ourselves on about 3 acres in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. To be specific, the Keweenaw Peninsula, which is right up here. Not the most hospitable climates to live in. I don't know what meat costs in the grocery store. I truly don't. Before I raised it myself, I only ate it where I knew where it came from. We produce all of our own pork and poultry, chickens and turkeys. We buy our beef, a quarter cow every year, from a local farm, and we buy local Lake Superior fish. That's it. I don't buy anything in from a grocery store. In 3 days, these 5 pigs go to butcher, and we will be taking 2.5 for our freezer. That's 1 entire pig larger than I actually wanted. However, we weren't able to find buyers or people to barter with this year. In previous years we have, but we just had too many to deal with. And next year we will only be raising 2 pigs. Part of my ambition in living in a collapsing society is to build relationships with people, and my skill set is around food. That has hits and misses at times. This year there were a lot of misses. In years past, there were a lot of hits. Last year, we bartered with a family 2 pigs for them. We butchered together, processed together, and then in return, we got our dairy cow who showed up here a few weeks ago. She's young yet, and we believe that she's pregnant. And for those of you who don't know, a cow has to have a calf in order to give milk. It's tough to be a local food producer in a society that's used to instant gratification as well as cheap food, but also just everything's so expensive, and I have to charge a certain price to make it worth our while to raise these pigs. So a young family in particular cannot afford this. They cannot afford to pay cash for a pig. And also in rural America, let's be real, people don't care about food. They'll eat at the gas station every day. Bologna sandwiches are just fine with them. That's just the way it goes. And there are certain families that we can barter with, and there are certain people that we will give some pork to. We have neighbors that we give pork to every year. There are certain agreements that we will uphold and make sure that we make whole at the end of the season. We do every single year. And that's something that we value a lot, is being able to put pork chops in the freezer of our neighbor who makes sure that we get the hookup on the produce from the local grocery store every week, the refuse that would go into the waste stream. Oh yeah, she gets some bacon. That's right. The way I look at food production and the types of food that my family eats is I really tap into what did my ancestors eat, particularly in hard times. Now, I'm of European descent, clearly, and I'm going to tap into a lot of that. I have Czech ancestry, Czechoslovakian, and I guess I identify with that mostly, although I'm a bunch of mutts. I'm just basically all kinds of stuff. But I want to tap into what did my people consume in hard times to survive. We eat everything from tip to tail. That's right. We process the head down into a product. We process the organs. And anything that we don't eat, we give to the chickens to clean up, because then it can get turned into eggs. This is a way that I am protecting myself as the authoritarians take away assistance programs. My family also receives SNAP benefits as well as Medicaid and WIC. I still have young children, and those are under threat right now. And we all know darn well that the authoritarian regime that's in power and the oligarchy, they want to take all that away from people, right? They want to take those resources to enrich themselves. I know that. And the first time that the Flaming Orange Cheeto went into the White House, I thought, oh, I better learn some pretty serious skills. Now, I had already been learning food production skills, but I decided then and there that I was going to take this as serious as a heart attack. And I did. I now know how to process down all kinds of products from animals that most people would never even consider eating, and my kids eat it up. So as I mentioned, we bartered for this dairy cow, and it is by far the best barter that we've ever done. We do a lot of bartering, and we've also heard some pretty ridiculous offers over the years as well. But trading 2 pigs, plus the processing doing together, for a dairy cow, whom the other family kept for about a year for us while she was being bred, or impregnated, right? That's a pretty darn good deal. So let's get to the raw milk. Okay, I'm not MAGA. I don't get into RFK. I do want people to be healthy. I was raised by anti-vaxxers, actually. I'm kind of one of the first that wasn't vaccinated. It was kind of freakish back then. But I decided that I believe in science. However, I also believe in tapping into what my ancestors did, right? So I don't care what you drink. I don't care what you eat. It's fine. I get the circumstances. I understand that it's tough out there. But for me and my family, we're going raw milk. Why is this? Well, it's shelf stable. You don't actually have to pasteurize milk. You just have to make sure things are clean. If you had to pasteurize milk in order to consume it and not die, well, people who look like me wouldn't be here. We never would have survived. It's true. You can also turn grass into butter and cream and ice cream. We don't have a lot of acreage here, but we do have a neighbor who is going to let us pasture on her land, and she gets pork chops. A dairy cow is a form of wealth, and traditionally, that's what people wanted. They wanted to have this source of protein on site because it could keep their family going, especially in tough times. If she is pregnant, which I don't know, what do you think, mamas? I think she looks like she could be, especially if you look at her from behind, but we'll let her keep her modesty. I've had 5 of them. I know what it looks like. She's looking a little wide in the side. She would only be a few months right now. But we would be able to sell the calf or bring it to butcher for beef. That's an enormous resource. Having this on site, not having to worry about inflation, not having to worry about my food assistance being cut. Uh-oh, honey. Get that a little closer for you. There you go. There you go. This is how people survive. There are many cultures that see dairy animals as wealth. And there's a reason why. because it is invaluable if you are a food producer. Now, raw milk can be turned into a product. You can clabber it and give it to your chickens and pigs also. So if I don't want to make cheese, I can give it to my other animals. It can replace the cost of feed. This is huge. It is also healthier. However, if you're someone that's very scared of everything needs to be sterilized before you eat it, well, then this isn't for you. This isn't the choice. I make fermented foods all the time. I'm a home canner, right? Things are clean, but you're not going to see a whole lot of Clorox bleach in my house because my family also has a microbiome, and that's what keeps us healthy and happy. So raw milk, pasteurized milk, plant-based, whatever. I don't care what you do. I really don't. But for me, this is something that I've worked towards for almost 10 years now to make sure that my family can eat. And we're very, very pleased. So as we wrap things up here, I'll take you on a little bit of a walk. Look at that girl. A little walk through part of our garden that the pigs helped clear. Pigs are very valuable as well, because not only do you get your bacon and your pork chops and all that good stuff. Look at this sweetheart. Look at this girl. They'll also clear land for you, and this is something that people would do. So this area, on this side of the cedar trees, see those trees in the back? It's a line of cedars. This whole area was cleared by pigs over the last 3 years. And we've been slowly adding our garden to it. Now we do a raised row method, a no-till method. So you can see behind me, we had pickles in there. Now we have some garlic planted. We're still working on our garden cleanup. It's been a little slow this year because Mama got sick. But we had things like potatoes back here behind me. And then over here, all kinds of different crops. But when we bought this farm in 2020 for 40 grand, it was a complete wreck. We live in an old ghost town, mining ghost town, and after the mine closed in the 1920s, this became a chicken and potato farm, as well as a gas station. Behind me, you see a garage. That was a gas station. Well, it fell into disrepair, and it was full of trash and debris and stumps and all kinds of stuff. And the pigs helped us root that out and clean it up. And they did a fantastic job of doing that and adding fertilizer to the soil. So not only do they give you bacon, but they'll do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. So in conclusion, as things get harder in the United States of America, start thinking a little bit differently. There are solutions, and tapping into what our ancestors did, no matter what your culture is, and I'd love to hear down below. What do your people do? What did they do? Tell me. I love learning from other cultures, and I do pull from that quite a bit, the techniques. I like to lean into what my people would have done, as well as what makes sense climate-wise, right? I don't grow a ton of tomatoes. I grow a lot of cabbage, and that's how we're going to make a go of it. I don't expect to have avocados year-round living in the northernmost part of Michigan, but again, right, I can have a lot of cabbage, and there's a lot you can do with it, and I get a dairy cow. So let me know down below what your people have done. This is how we're going to get by in tough times. And I mean, if you're fortunate enough to have someone like that in your life, hey, it can't be all bad. All right, folks, take care. Yeah, she's a good girl. She's a good girl. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it appears that while my husband is out taking the kids to a Halloween party, these sheep have somehow broke into this part of the barn, created a bit of a mess, and gotten into some hay. Yes, hello, Butter. I neglected to mention that a couple of these guys will be in the freezer as well.